I can already hear the Honda owners trying to talk some smack because my opinion on these cars can be a bit aggressive. Ladies and gentlemen, there was a time where you needed to be convinced to buy this car. A car that, by all definitions, was already a weary pick because it's going on the last 200,000 miles, and we're not entirely sure if the engine's actually going to blow up. A car that is one Mystic Chrome wrap away from potentially being labeled as rice. A quirky little thing that, for some reason or another, looks like Kevin Hart's shampoo bar after Jumanji. I'm Alex Martini with 2 underscores on Instagram, and today we're talking about, for some reason or another, how to modify a Hyundai Veloster. Not Veloster, not Velociraptor, Veloster. Welcome to Martini Works. You need parts? Mod your car at martiniworks.com. Have a Veloster built? Add it to the build thread so you can help people mod their car with us because we, quite frankly, give a shit. We got BC Racing on the website now. 1552 is on the website, which is absolutely gnarly. And if you don't see something that you need, talk to the chatbot. You're literally talking to Gels or myself. You see, back in 2008, the world was a bit messy. America had literally no money. Japan was a bit scared at what that meant for them. And the world in the middle was still, well, history class will hopefully teach you something there. But there was a region that saw an opportunity to little finger their way into the market even further while capturing a young car buyer, a teenager, a young boy or girl that needed a place to store their boho headbands and Kanye shutter shades, okay? And that brand was known as Hyundai. Hyundai was already there, sure. They were already making cars. They already had your parents mad because the first time they came into the country, they didn't really make great cars. But over time, they got better and better. They were pretty good at making cars on a value. The value of like a house in 2008 is what all houses should probably be worth, and Hyundai kind of made the same statement with cars. They were just affordable, budget-friendly options that were a little bit better than, I would argue, a Chevy alternative. So, as an introduction, the brainchild of quirky marketing, niche features that you brag about on Facebook, the Hyundai Veloster was born. A 1.6-liter naturally aspirated 3-door asymmetrical vehicle that, to be honest, I honestly thought was kind of sick. Like, when I saw it when I was young, I thought it was kind of the bee's knees. 6-speed manual, slicked back headlights, and an italicized Honda badge that almost made us think that this will be pretty good. I honestly thought it was Honda when I was young. Starting at $17,800 and ending at $8,000 nowadays, it still has less depreciation than an AMG. But the Veloster Turbo, like, that was the sriracha to this recipe because it bumped up the power to 201 because a non-turbo Veloster is terrible. Terribly slow, okay? Now, the Turbo one gave you a snail, some twin tips for the back ass, and a more aggressive body style, and made most car enthusiasts say, wait a minute, the tip around was kind of fun, right? What maybe they did it again, you know? Don't hate the Tiburon. That was my first dream car. Fuck off if you hate the Tiburon. I love that. But there was something interesting about the Veloster then and still now, and it was like its ability to show what was possible. It was kind of like an interesting car, especially when it went on its little marketing tour. I mean, it spent time being featured at multiple SEMA shows. It was making its way across the country in movies and music videos. Rice Millen drove it with a little bit more horsepower, I might add, in the Summer X Games Rallycross Championship, and everybody at Hyundai used every single second that he drove that car as a marketing ploy. They raced a goddamn cheetah on a Super Bowl commercial to promote it, and for some reason, it was even sponsored by The Walking Dead. That doesn't make you old. So, would Carl slap a dirty hat on top of it? I'm honestly not too sure, but what I can say is when a budget, affordable, sport-ish car can be modified to have a bit of fun on the back roads while you contemplate the sudden urge to just drive off said hill, you know I'm gonna talk about it. So how do you modify one of these things? Well, so glad you're here. The biggest miss on the car from factory was its suspension. It feels very wobbly and it's not very comfortable to drive. So with coilovers from BC Racing being everything you need to lower the car and still make it feel and look kind of hot, it's a good choice, okay? Plus it's a budget-friendly coilover option that doesn't suck. If the coilover's under $800, it's probably not gonna be the greatest. But because it's a budget, hot, hatch, fun car, that will also mean the wear and tear items are more teared than wear. So we'd immediately recommend that if you're going to do coilovers, jumping into the other suspension bits like your bushings. They say you can do some rigid collars and some rear sway bar stuff. But boom, the ass will no longer feel like it's being held up by like 4,000 to 7,000 balloons. That's one of the biggest things with these cars is the back end just feels really light. Now, Eibach does have some options for this in terms of the sway bars that are banging. For an exhaust and intake, these are one of those mods that you can pretty much kind of do for yourself because it's not going to have a massive impact on the car's performance, but that's just how we are sometimes. It's gonna sound good, it's gonna feel good, it's lots of fun, we like noise. Borla has an option for just about everyone. Even with the turbo exhaust options, options that only run you right about $1,000, which isn't terrible in my opinion. Now, where I would always recommend you be careful is when you start to plug your Windows 95 box into your OBD2 port, aka the flash tune zone, to try and get 400 horsepower out of the turbo cars. Now, flash tunes seem to go for like $700 to $1,000, with most adjusting your ignition and your cam timing, and with some code removal when you get an aftermarket exhaust. The only warning though that I will give you before heading into the tune zone is you gotta be careful with this thing. It's a fragile boy sometimes, okay? You're gonna wanna upgrade your plugs to like some HK M45 XLs, I think they're called, or something similar, and do a full leak down test on your existing engines. You see, Hyundai built affordable cars. Not always reliable cars. Some are, but not all, okay? So be smart before you jump into the nether. If you wanna make the Veloster look less Veloster, here are some cheat codes, because I do think this car can look good and perform pretty well on a budget. Number 1, get rid of the chrome in the front. Number 2, two-tone the roof if it's not already. Number 3, get rid of the huge amber side markers. Son of a bitch, looks like a cheese pizza slice. Put a modest lip on the front and match your mirrors to the roof, and booyah! You're pretty much set to go. Now, jumping into wheels and tires, honestly, I may get the brows here, but bear with your Wisconsin friend. 1552 chicanes would kind of slap, and I think they look kind of sick on the car. Now, here's the thing. There are so many options. There's a 5x114 bolt pattern, and an 18x8.5 plus 35 is going to work with two 2540 18s. Get Continental DWS 06s and just buy them from Martini Works, and you're welcome. But in terms of styling for the wheels, you can do pretty much anything, which means you can it up really easily. So I would recommend doing something that's really nice, simple, nothing too crazy. And I don't really think the Veloster does too well with lipped style wheels. So try to stick to something that's got a little bit of concavity, maybe a split 5-spoke or split 7-spoke, something that's gonna give it just a little bit of depth. But don't go crazy on the color. If you have a newer generation and you're like,
Alex, my car grew up. We put away the chrome. And honestly, I think it's a little that you would say that these cars aren't reliable.
Okay, first off, I'm a little bit sorry, but I'm a little bit not, because a lot of these cars have been abused a lot more than other ones, okay? We came here to chat like two boys at a bar 3 drinks in, and not everything is gonna come out perfect, but what we try to say, even with the newer generation, is that if you only go with wheels and tires and you don't fix your ride height, you'll look like a Ford Focus. If you slam it on the ground, but don't give that front end some sauce, it looks a little bit like a Mazda 3. The car needs contrast bad, otherwise it all feels a bit flat, which I know people wanna go for performance, but you want the thing to look good too. So if you've got a white car, go with some black Aero. If you've got a black car, go with like some bronze wheels, but don't go too crazy on any of it, because I have seen these cars just get a little bit Hot Wheels. Little bit wild, all right? So how do you modify a Hyundai Veloster? Easy, baby. You grab anywhere from $8,000 to $20,000 on a new one, depending on the budget and generation. You take a deep breath in, okay? I think that's Carmel's hair. Carmela's. All right, take a deep breath in and understand you may not get love from the rest of the community, but in the KDM forums, you'll be loved, and that's okay. If you get a turbo R spec, you will be fighting for your life to tell people how good your car is, because it actually is properly good. Just no one's gonna believe you. But after that, you're going to be overjoyed, because you're modifying a platform that is extremely affordable in the grand scheme of things. Wheels and tires, because of the sizing that you can stick with, you can get really good stuff for like $1,800. Coilovers are under $1,200, and maybe some Aero will kick up like your all-in budget to make the car look good, maybe $5,000, and you'll have something that looks good, sounds good, won't break the bank, and still take you to and from college. Now from here, you're gonna decide if you should put a 12 or 165 stickers on the back window with your new car purchase, and what I'm gonna ask you to do is to pump your brakes. What you need to do is follow the 70-20-10 rule. Did I make this up? No, I read it from a house painting book. 70% of your car should be one primary color. 20% should be that little flare color, little accent piece, probably your wheels. And 10% should be a third super subtle color. The more purposeful you are with this, the better the Veloster will look, I promise. Why am I pronunciating the T so much? Because I live next to Canada. And to be fair, the Veloster is a great platform. The community I've met in the KDM scene is by far some of the most genuine, authentic, honest people ever, and I love them to death, which makes me hurt when I sometimes don't talk nice about the car. But the KDM community loves making people feel welcome, which is why I love it. And that's what I can say more than some other automotive audiences. So when you are buying one, be sure to get involved in the community that these cars build, because they are quite literally the best time I've ever had. And if you go through all of this and you're still looking to modify your Veloster, and then the most important part is to mod your car at Martini Works. If you already have a modified Veloster, add it to our build threads at martiniworks.com so you can help other people learn how to build their car from people who already built their car. And if you own own a Veloster, drop some tips below for somebody that's looking, because I may not have gotten all the information, and guess what? You may be an expert just as much. Probably more than me. I'm Alex Martini with 2 underscores on Instagram. Let us know what car we should do next, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace.